Yes, guys, how are we? Welcome back to the YouTube. It is your boy checking in with you post IFBB Pro qualifier show, post Bradford. So we are Sunday, 26th of July. Now, when was the last YouTube that I did? I'll have a look. I think it was before the regional. Now, I just wanted to do this video to talk about a bit of a post-show wrap-up, kind of explain the plan of action from here somewhat. Obviously that might be discussed in further videos, and basically what the future entails. So, unfortunately this season, well, how do I say this? This season on stage didn't go how I wanted it to in terms of the results. But the package that I brought and the physique that I brought, not to the stage, but to the garden, the Empro Garden Classic in Passenham Avenue, Billericay, I was very happy with what we achieved. It's the most conditioned I've ever been. I was peeled. My glutes were peeled. I've had so many people come up to me at the shows. Mate, you were so peeled in the garden check-ins. Looking really good. We didn't land it on stage. There's a few reasons for that. I'm not going to sit here and explain why. I might do that in a further video. I'll briefly touch on it, but today, obviously where I am post-show, like, I'm feeling pretty fucked, but I just thought, do you know what? Just pick up the camera, start talking, and just get it done, because otherwise I'll put it off. And this video needs to be done. The first video needs to get out there. So I had a fantastic prep. I beat my last year's package by far, and that's the reason why I wanted to do the shows this year, to A, beat my last best ever physique, B, did it for my grandma, and because I told her I'd bring the best package that I could bring, which I did, to the garden. But C, we didn't land that look on stage. That's one thing I haven't ticked off, but I still enjoyed myself at both shows. I absolutely loved it. Trust me, bringing Dubai back to the UK, grape. And I've also got some blue Sour Patch Blue Raspberry and Sour Patch Red Berry. They're going to get me through the rest of this diet and the reverse. So basically, where are we? I'll try and pop some photos up on the screen of my best look. There was a few best looks at specific weights, and then I'll pop up some photos of post Bradford on the Thursday when we started digging again. I literally look like I've lost like 2-3 kilos condition, very watery. I was supposed to do the Essex show next Saturday and then maybe do the PCA, but there's no way. I knew before even taking the check-in photos, and again I'll try and pop them up here. I'm pretty useless with that, but I will put them in so you can see. I think on the right is like 100.3. On the left is a similar weight, but the look, it looks like I'm about 3 kilo more conditioned. Post Bradford, the body's just, and I hate when people say this, but if you look at these photos, this is what fatigue, true fatigue, looks like. I'd had a few poor sleeps leading up to this. I think, peaking for the regional, messed things. The photo on the right was like a week and a half out from the first show, which was the end of June. Then where we had the poor peak for the heavies for the regional, which Cal said he apologised for, made a mistake, fine. And then where we peaked heavily for the supers, had a bit too much food, did a third day, thought it would be all right. We both did, because of what we trialled before, and then we just spilled. Simple as that. And that spill on the Bradford stage made me look about a kilo more body fat than I was. Again, there's a rear shot that I sent Cal, or a rear double, of the fasted morning check-in in the garden versus on stage. Literally looks like someone's put on body fat. I hold a lot of water around my legs and my glutes, just naturally. Even like now in this current phase, but also if we do spill, it just goes to my posterior. So it's lessons learned. I'm still happy with what I brought leading up to the show, the condition and everything. We got down to 98.9 kilos and I looked a little bit worse. I think my best look was around 100. And on stage in the morning, I was like 102.5. I was 2 kilo fluid on me. They just ruined it. But, congratulations to Ben, congratulations to Samson and the other gents, a guy called Stu that I met. Fantastic package, and I come 5th out of 5 in that lineup. But a lot of people saying to me, like, for me, it was to see, like, a lot of people saying to me, you don't need more size to turn pro. And some shots I didn't feel small whatsoever. So the size is there, and that's even without an off season. And then people be like, "Oh, you just need more condition." No, I needed to land it perfectly. Like I said, more condition wasn't actually what I needed. I needed to sit around that 99 to 100 kilo mark, peaked perfectly. The condition in the fasting morning check-ins, I believe I was just as sharp as the winner who turned pro, but I didn't manage to bring that, and he was undoubtedly the best on the day. But I didn't feel out of place. Even like the result isn't reflective of how good I was, if you know what I'm trying to say. I feel that it was a positive from what I saw. The most musculars, the front double, the rear shots, my legs, the size is there. But then everyone's saying, "Oh, I'll compete at the end of the year, compete next year." I just want to take my time. It's not about size to turn pro. It's about having enough size to compete as a pro. And I won't be competing now until early 2028, and everybody's telling me do different, apart from the head judge that I spoke to. I will move at my own pace. I'm in a rush for no one. I do this for me. Can I turn pro March, April, July, September next year? Yeah, I believe so. If size isn't the issue and I just need to land it right and maybe get a bit more conditioned from a better start point and not lose my pop, yeah, I can turn pro. I believe that. But then I'm going to need another year and a half to grow into the pro league. So what I said to Cal was, and we'll talk about something in a second as well, I will be moving forward, I'll be coaching myself. But when I was, just before leaving Cal, I sent over the plan of action and said, this is how I feel is best move forward. So yeah, overall season was a success regardless of the placings. I got second at the regional. The guy was just a bit sharper. We can't land in the heavies. It just wasn't the right weight for me. And then the supers, we just peaked a little bit. We were a little bit soft, a little bit, quite a bit fluidy. And did 2 shows within 4 weeks, and then the body's got to a point where it's not very happy, it's not very responsive. Hence, you see the difference in visuals, even though it looks like I've binged in those photos. If you show someone those photos, it looks like I've binged. I haven't binged. Come off Bradford stage, I had some bacon rolls at night as a homemade off plan, which I was allowed. Sunday morning, I was straight back to my updates, didn't miss a beat till Thursday morning. Sent over my check-ins Thursday, Friday. Looked like shit. Looked terrible. Can't be helped sometimes. It happens. Yeah, I was thinking, like, what is causing this? Is it cycle related? Is it the gear? No cycle. The cycle hadn't changed. I hadn't changed nothing. But within 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks of the photos from left to right, I just lost my physique. And I think it's just the fatigue from pulling up and pushing down, doing the heavyweight cap, then doing the supers and missing that peak, then pulling back down super low calorie, which I think was the wrong idea. On the best ever photos, I was on like 2,700 calories per day with a decent amount of expenditure. We could have just remained on that and I would have ended up getting tighter. I feel like where we pushed things and we tried being a bit more aggressive, but that's because we had the regional and the pro qualifier, because again, it's just about time frames. If I was 6 weeks out from the regional, or even 4 weeks out from the regional looking at my best, I could have just carried on how I was. and I would have been peeled, not lost my pop, and then landed right for the regional and the pro qualifier. So it's just because I didn't know I was going to prep this year, so I didn't have the perfect starting point. So again, that's all it is. So to still get to the most peeled I've ever been, and for Cal to sit on a call me and say, you're peeled, but you lose your pop if you go any more, that's a win for me. I've never been peeled in my life, but those fasted check-ins, I would say I'm pretty much there. So I'm happy with that. I will be coaching myself moving forward. I haven't heard from Cal, which is, to be honest, it's not good enough. As good as he is, he's the best, one of the best in the world for prep. As soon as you're off prep, it's like you get moved to the back of the pile. I'm not paying X amount of money for that, because every off season, it just goes to show what every off season check-in will be like. It'll be 2 or 3 days late. Yeah, no worries, no changes, move forward. I want to share my journey with someone that's in with it all the time. And unfortunately, the only person that's as obsessed with that is me. There's a few other people that I toyed with going, but do you know what? I can do this phase. I can do the off seasons on my own. And when I join prep, I'll go back with Cal, or I'll go with someone else when the time's right, but that's ages away. Or we might find that I do go with someone for the off season, but for now, I will be coaching myself. So what do I do from here? Now, I'm not happy with my current look, so I haven't weighed myself. I've been back on plan. I've bumped my food up a bit. This is the hardest thing, but I'm actually gonna, and you shouldn't do this, right? I'm gonna stay in a deficit for about 2 to 3 weeks, but the deficit will be a lot less harsh, and I'm on a lot more food than I was. Cal brought my food down to 1900 and 1600 for after Bradford, and that's what I believe fucked me. He put cardio back in again. That's what I believe fucked me, even though it was a little bit of bike. The body just had enough by that point. It's the sleep was the sign that the fatigue and the stress accrued was too much by that point. Hence the fluid retention and stuff like that. So I've bumped my food to 2.9 to 3,000 calories, just above what I was on when I was at my best. Doing 30 minutes 6 times a week. Bike, because I enjoy that when I've got energy to do it. I'm not on 1600 calories, and I'm doing 11 or 12k steps. I'm not putting any pressure on myself, but I've been perfect so far. Not having any cheat meals or anything like that. I've said to Tony, I'm going to nail this next 6 to 8 weeks. So basically, I will run through this in another video, but I've got everything, and this is what was a bit disheartening. I sent this over to Cal before he flew back from Texas and was like, do you want me to send it over now, or do you want me to wait till post Essex? Because I thought we were going to do Essex before I checked in. He was like, send it over, I'll have a look on the way back from Texas. And he got back from Texas and just never got back to me. Which again, it's just not, if you're going into a reverse, or like me, continuing to diet before your reverse into off season, this is the reason why I joined the coach, not to do the shows. It was to get lean and reverse an off-season perfectly. But do you know what? I can reverse an off-season properly on my own. I know what I'm doing. I'm smart enough. I've got enough knowledge. I've got enough experience. And I believe more in myself now. Is it nice to have someone to share your journey with? Yeah, but I've got Tony to do that. And I know she probably gets bored of me going on about it, but the autism in me sometimes just likes things as it is, and laying everything out and having it. This is why, like, if you could see on my screen, this is to the date perfect until 2028 prep for the shows. Everything's laid out. So basically, I'll just run through the next until off season. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to diet phase and finish prep in the next 2 to 3 weeks, which takes us to 16th of August. The reverse diet will then start in for 8 weeks, which is August 17th to October 11th this year. And then my 18-week off-season 1 will begin October 12th to February 14th, 2027. There is 3 off seasons in there, 18, 20, 18. 3 off seasons of about 18 to 20 weeks each time. There could be a 2 to 3 week leeway between each. Like with 3 off seasons in there with mini cuts in between, blood work done every time. before the health phase. I'm actually getting bloods done this week at their worst, and then so I'm going to health phase now, even during this 3-week deficit. And the reverse might only have to be 6 to 8 weeks. We'll assess, because obviously you want to recover from prep straight away, which is why I advise not doing. You don't stay in a deficit post show. But where I'm so unhappy with how I look now, and I want to get back to my best look or close, and reverse from that point, because I know that sets my off season up for success. So yeah, I've had to find a balance of bringing my food up so that I kind of recover from prep, not enough to go into a reverse where you gradually gain body fat, because I'm not happy with where I'm at. So enough to recover, but enough to also stay within the deficit, which is tricky. I don't think many people would have dieted after a show. You go straight into the reverse. But where this fluid situation's happened and I'm not happy with the look and I haven't messed anything up, I just want to rectify this. And I've given myself 2 to 3 weeks to be able to rectify that. Then the reverse diet can begin. If I want to go on cycle a little bit earlier before the off season starts to make it a 20-week cycle, I can, whilst I'm reversing. But basically, 3 weeks now of dieting till mid-August. We are currently 26th of July. And then 8-week reverse, and then 18 to 20-week off-season one begins. Off-season, mini-cut, off-season, mini-cut, off-season, pre-prep maintenance, start prep, 28th of February. Let's have a look. 28th of February 2028, roughly. It's a Monday. And we'll go for shows May, June, July. The Alicante shows are like early June, I think, it's turn pro. And then we'll turn pro, and then we'll do some pro shows within June, July also that are close. Get on the American circuit and start doing some shows out there. Get some nice post-show food with Tone and do a bit of an America trip. The reason I'm not competing next year is, again, I don't want to rush. We're moving to Dubai in October, November next year. So we've got only got a year and 2 to 3 months left in the UK. We want to do RB for next year. Might go RB for this year for a couple of days. We'll go to Dubai this year from 22nd of November to 22nd of December. So we do 4 and a bit weeks, because I'll be watching Avengers Doomsday out there on the 18th. I think it comes out. Then we come home for Christmas. So we've got time away, but like I'm locked in now. But next year is for lifestyle stuff. And when I say lifestyle, I'm still locked in. I'm basically, I messaged Joe Gann this morning. I'm basically going Joe Gann levels of locked in, especially on this reverse here, being perfect. I'm not having a cheat meal. I've said to myself for 6 weeks to finish the 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks reverse. Then I might have a cheat meal early September for Tony's dad's birthday. So I'm going to be spot on. Now that's hard to do post show, very hard. But I promised myself I'm going to do it, and that's why I call it Joe Gann levels of locked in. Shout out to Joe, his YouTube's been fantastic. That's the kind of level of locked in I feel now post show. Is crazy. But yeah, next year's for like moving away, saving up, building a business. Me and Tony will move October, November, start a new chapter. I'll be 31 next January, and then I'll turn pro when I'm 32, and then I've still got a good few years competing in the pro leagues before we have kids when I'm like 35, 36. So that's the plan of action, right? What's strange is my love for bodybuilding just keeps getting better and better. Like the amount of locked inness that I want, it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm leveling up as an athlete. Like no matter how, like I feel pretty fried now. I feel the worst I've felt this week. I slept for 9.5 hours last night. Post show tends to hit me harder than prep, energy wise. Even with how fucked I feel, like today's a Sunday, we're going to go for a sauna and relax. I ain't got much energy. Can't be asked to do my steps. I haven't been asked to train this week. Can't be asked to train. Still kind of trained. Still done 5 days. I'm probably going to drop it to 4 days next week. But what's crazy is, no matter, even though I feel the way I feel now, I know that's only going to last till like mid-August. Within 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be training normally again. Once I get bloods done, see if there's anything off with the bloods that's making me feel off. I don't think it's that. because usually I pulled bloods a few days after November shows last year, and they were as if I hadn't even really been on cycle, and I felt fried then, but it was just from the prep. That was being too long of a prep. That was like a 38 week prep. This prep's only been like 16, well, with the next 3 weeks, it'll be about 18 to 20 weeks. So it's a bit better in that sense. But what's strange is even though I feel fried, I'm going to feel normal soon. So I'm can't wait for that. Just need to prioritise my sleep and everything like I'm doing. But what's crazy is, and I've spoke to Tony about this, and I keep saying to her, "You're still going to support me, you're still going to be with me," because I'm locking in further like a real athlete, taking my reverse perfectly seriously, off-seasoning like in a professional for 3 off-seasons, and still having lifestyle and balance. Like we enjoy that, but I just feel like I'm leveling up and locking in more and loving bodybuilding even more. Like I can't wait to off season. Can't wait to get better. You got to remember, we're July 2026. I last finished my last off season April 2025 when I started prep for last year's shows. I've done this much and grown this much for this year and stood against super heavyweights that are turning pro and held my own with size without an off season. Now I get 3 off seasons to actually eat a lot of food, take more gear, which I've not done because this year I said I was going to push drugs and I didn't because I've prepped. So I will push things in this next 3 pushes, obviously keeping my health in check. But I've already had my echocardiogram done this year. That's fantastic. Blood work's being done this week, and we can kind of start. I've earned my stripes now. I'm going to push a little bit more gear. I'm going to eat a lot more food by staying lean. I'm going to stay insulin sensitive. I'm going to nail my reverse. And I just can't wait to get better. I can't wait to level up. And just that level of locked in as an athlete, getting up same time every day, going to bed same time every day. Not like every day for the year and a half, I get that. But like for the majority of time, going to bed at 9 o'clock on a Saturday, having everything perfect, it's just like, what a feeling that is. What a feeling. Can't describe that feeling. Like some people never feel that in their life, and that's wild to me. That's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I just can't wait for what's to come really. I know the best is yet to come. Turning pro is not an issue. I'll turn pro easy in 2028. Easily. Early, as I said, May, June, July 2028. It's about building a physique that is pro-worthy. And when you step on a pro stage, you're not going missing in 3rd or 4th call-outs. That's what I want for 2028. So we take our time and work towards that. Forget all the social media validation, forget all beyond the stage posting people. I know I'm close, and if I come in 100% this year, could I have done it? Yeah, maybe. Doesn't matter. Like, there were so many factors that were going against me and I still brought my best. So it's time to just actually grow now. Get this diet done, because we've got a photo shoot booked hopefully towards the end of August, which is like when I start kind of reversing, so I can look good for that with Tony. That's just for like business photo, getting some shots for businesses and for business social media and stuff like that. And just full send coaching now for a year and a half. Got my boys competing this year, so yeah, I'm well happy. So that's pretty much it. I'll touch more into maybe some of that. But yeah, I might get some, I don't know what I'm going to film next, I haven't a clue. Just wanted to come on and have a bit of a rant really and discuss my post-show plans. We will be starting a 2028, a Road to IFBB Pro in 2028 series. And there will be weekly vlogs, training, gear, the usual. We're going to cover everything. And I'm excited for that. So, yeah, guys, we're off to a sauna in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Done all my work for this morning, pretty much. Had a consult with a client this morning. Let's just get this health phase out of the way. Health phase is obviously, people don't want to do it, but you've got to. But I'm excited to see what my bloods are in the week. So close to finishing the cycle. Excuse me. Analyse how this cycle has affected me, see if I want to do the similar cycle moving forward for the off season. And it's all data and tracking, and I love it, and that's why I feel a little bit autistic with things. I love this game. The passion for this game taking things that affects this, and then you take this health sub to help that, then your sleep helps the recovery, then this food does this. All these little things that go into bodybuilding I absolutely love. So I'll wrap it up there. I'll catch you all either in the next video or in the next part of the video. Enjoy your day. Yes, YouTube, how are we doing on this fine Tuesday? We have got a special delivery that I want to show you all, which I'm so excited about. We've got a few packages here. I'll run through them one by one, but I'll get through the big boy first because that is the most important one for this next phase, for the reverse diet, for the push-up. So let's get this cranked open and then we'll run through the other stuff as well. So, actually come very quickly, very costly, but as a bodybuilder, I'm willing to invest. I pretty much invest all of my money into bodybuilding and my health and my physique and my mental health, and it will all come back tenfold. And one day I'll be a multi-millionaire. But people will moan and say it's expensive. It is expensive if you do it and you're trying to do it at the highest level. But it will all be worth it if you make it worth it. If you put the hard work in, all those investments will come back. That camera is shaking around so much, I'm surprised it hasn't dropped. Honestly, I can't explain how excited I was for this to come through. It's a joke. And you can tell you're getting older because I don't want to rip this open poorly like I always do, and then they're like, oh, you need to keep the packaging just in case. So what do we have? ResMed. Anybody know who ResMed are? AirSense 11 Auto Set, aka don't get close to dying every night. Here we go. Got an app. I'm actually not going to open this fully. I'll let Tony kind of help me out, but we have a sleep apnea mask and filter. This is the AirSense 11, which is the newest one, AirSense 11 Auto Set Elite. And then you've got their newest AirFit F40 mask, which is supposedly the best fitting mask and the most comfortable and also the quietest. So we've got that to look forward to set up, because as you all know, when I ruined the post show last year and I gained a hell of a lot of weight too fast, you could argue I wasn't that out of condition, but I did gain a lot of fluid. I probably was out of shape when you think about it, but I got up to like 100 and, it was more 116, but it was more, I did hit a 120 at one point when we went to Amsterdam, and I was just choking on myself and my sleep for about 4 weeks. I had sleep apnea for about 4 weeks. How people live with that, I don't know. I've got clients at the moment, they're like, yeah, I live with it. I need to get a mask. It's like, mate, how have you not got a mask? It makes you feel depressed, suicidal, messes your mental health up. If you have apnea, you will die early if you do not have a mask. Like, significantly early, 20, 30, 40, 50 years before you should. So, you know, get on top of it ASAP, which we are with a lot of my clients. You know your sleep, right? I go on about sleep because I feel it's the most important thing ever in life. You know, or one of. And I will never stop going on about it because it affects everything, especially down to things like depression and mental health and suicide rates. And, you know, if you want to live a happy life, I believe you need to sleep well with good quality. And if you have apnea, like in bodybuilding, most big bodybuilders, you know, like, the reason I've got it now, I might not push to 120, I'm like 101 at the moment, but like as I reverse and, you know, the more fluidy, water retentive compounds go in, and as I get as big as I want to get across this next year and a half with the 3 off seasons that I have before prep, I'm going to need a mask. Like, even when I have a cheat meal or a high day from this low weight, let's say I'm 101 now, if I have a big meal tonight, it could be a Nando's and some dessert, and I gain 2 kilos of fluid, I will snore for about 4 or 5 hours. Last night I snored for about 20 minutes. Just from 2 or 3 kilos of fluid. No body fat difference because it's obviously over one night. How crazy is that? And that's only at like 103, 104 kilos. So imagine what it will be when I'm actually pushing. So then, secondly, we have got 2 lots of blood work from Atlas, my sponsor. It is, Tony's got the sex and thyroid panel, which we're retesting for her Hashimoto's. So basically we're doing a 12-week transformation. We did this 12 weeks ago, got the results, saw that she had Hashimoto's, implemented what I've advised her to implement, and she's down like, how many kilos down? 9? 9 kilos down in 12 weeks. No specific burners. We've utilised the Retta with me for the insulin sensitivity, and then loads of other natural supplements to help with her Hashimoto's. She's 9 kilos down, feeling the best she's ever felt. Hashimoto's symptoms are pretty much non-existent. Sleep's the best it's been. And we are getting a retest just to see the markers on the antibodies and her hormones and iron and things of that nature. With me, I've got a prestige test, which is the top test you can get off Atlas. It comes to about 400 quid. And I'll get that done once a year usually. I've already spent 300 quid on my echo about 3 months ago now. And I was happy with the echo results, so I don't need to do another echo. That's me done for a year and a half. Or a year or so. And then this advanced in-depth blood work, I would advise once per year. Then you can get the cheap like 100 to 150 pound ones between cycles and stuff like that. But this, especially after a 20-week prep, is going to show me everything. Are things going to be off? Absolutely. They're pretty much supposed to be. But I say that, I did a 30-week prep, and when I competed in Denmark, I had my bloods done the next day, and they weren't off. Like, I could have resumed on cycle with some of the bloods that I was shown. However, that was a Medichecks, and that was like 150 quid or something like that. So it wasn't too in-depth. Whereas this gives you every single thing. It even gives a urine test to test kidneys and a urinalysis, basically. So you've got urinalysis and about, I don't know how many blood work results, 150 to 200 markers. You know, heart, lipids, liver, kidneys, red blood cells, hormones, pancreas, everything, thyroid. So I'm very excited to be getting those taken tomorrow. Bearing in mind, I've just gone into a cruise this week, so I've got to pull down to 150 test. Could I sit on a modified cruise with the goals that I have? Especially if these come back well. Yeah, I could probably sit on 200, 250 test. I'm just going to pull to 150 because my cycle, next cycle, is going to be quite a long cycle. And I've always said this, I've never pushed things. I've gone to, and then because we went into the prep this year, we didn't need to, because I don't like utilising more PEDs on prep. I like to use more in a push. And when did I last push? My last push finished April 2025, which was a year and 3 months ago. So these next 3 pushes, I am going to be pushing androgens and injectables. Generally, I've never gone around that. The last off-season push was around 1.2 to 1.3 grams. This prep was about the same. So I've sat around that injectable mark there. Might be pushing it to 1.5 to 1.8, 2 grams. We'll see. If it's needed, I want to get as much out of as little first, because it's a long cycle. I'll start quite moderate and taper. But where I'm going to be so responsive on this rebound and kind of reversing, the food and the sleep and the training will take care of the majority of the growth. You know, a lot of people are jumping straight on cycle or straight to like 800,000 milligrams of test just because they want to get massive. It's like, it's the wrong thing to do. So I've planned out, I don't know if I did it in the last clip, I don't think I did because we spoke about a lot there, but I've planned out every single phase from now until turning pro in May, June or July 2028. It gives me 3 off seasons. It gives me a reverse. I'll go more in depth with this and I'll get it up on screen probably in a separate video, but it gives me time to reverse now. I'm still dieting for 2 weeks just to kind of maintain weight, and then reverse for about 6 to 8 weeks. So that, let's just say that's an 8-week total period, because because I'm still dieting on a tad more food. It's half reverse, half freshen up, half diet. So let's just say 8 weeks now. Reverse, health phase. Off season is about 20 weeks, with the cycle being about 22 weeks, because I'll start the cycle 2 weeks before off season begins. So I'll have 8 weeks in a health phase, start cycle, do an 18 to 20 week push, being on for 22 weeks. Mini cut health phase, off season 2, mini cut health phase, off season 3, pre-prep maintenance health phase, IFBB Pro prep, February 2028. We start prep around January to March 2028, depends on when the shows happen. Obviously there's a long time between there, things can change. But that gives me 3 pushes and 3 off seasons, 3 periods on cycle in a surplus, in a growth phase of around about 18 to 22 weeks each. So 18 to 22 weeks off seasons, like the last one is like a bit shorter, it's like 16. So let's just say 16 to 22 weeks off season cycles, push 1, push 2, push 3, and then that 4th cycle will be the cycle on prep in February 2028, likely February. Lastly, let's run through, this is a package from Biolab, and this is just some GC1, and also, yep, just GC1, I don't know what that is. No, it's just to bulk it out. GC1 I've been using instead of T3 on prep. And I'll have to, we'll assess again where my thyroids are sitting at on blood. So I've been using T4 this prep, 150 micrograms. I've actually doing mine upon wake. And that's kept my T4 in quite a good spot. And my TSH was if I was taking 25 to 30 micrograms of T3, and you don't flatten off from the GC1. The GC1 will act more on the alpha receptor of the thyroid as opposed to the beta, and I believe that when you take things like T3, you stimulate heart rate, you can run quite flat because it acts on that beta receptor. I might be getting it the wrong way around. It could be alpha and beta are switched, but basically it acts, I think I am correct. And I've been taking a GC1 combined with T4, no spikes in heart rates, no poor sleep from being too stimulated from T3. Also, you don't have, because generally you would dose T3 twice a day, you don't have to think about that. You just do your GC1 in the morning with your T4. T4 has a massively long half-life. The GC1 has a decent half-life. You just do it all in the morning. I started at 100 micrograms and built up to 200 micrograms. And like I said, when we do this full blood panel, I'll probably show you where my bloods are sitting. But when I did a thyroid and hormone panel, which was not health, it was just like testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, and thyroid markers. That was just to see how that current stack design and how these current thyroid supplements were helping those specific markers. And to be honest, the thyroid came back decently fast. In a very good spot. Like I said, I didn't use T3 the whole prep. Just stayed with the GC1 and the T4, and I will remain with that now on the reverse. And then the hormones came back. Estrogen was in range because I wanted to test how the EQ was kind of affecting estrogen. Testosterone was obviously high. So yeah, let's see what these next bloods come through as. So you've got the mask. I'm going to let Tony sort all that because reading stuff like that, I can't do it mentally. If it ain't about bodybuilding, I'm just shit at it. Got the best mask in the game, so I don't look like Darth Vader every night. And then you've got your Biolab subs and 2 lots of blood work, which will get taken tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is Wednesday, so it's a rest day. Generally, people say you should get your bloods taken after a few rest days, but I'm not bothered about the markers that will be slightly elevated from training inflammation. Plus, I'm not training that hard at the moment anyway. Just your ALT, your AST, your creatinine are going to be slightly elevated. So what? They're not markers that I'm concerned about. For me, liver is more GGT, bilirubin. Kidney is going to be cystatin C. And I've obviously got the urine analysis as well. So all the markers that are potentially thrown off a little bit by training, I don't care about those. So we get them done Wednesday morning, send them off. They should be back with us by Friday or Saturday. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think we're going to train. Really haven't been asked to train in this. Technically, I'm like 10, 11 days post show. I competed last Saturday, right? I've stayed on plan, and I'm around 101.3 kilos today. I'm looking leaner. I've dropped a lot of water. Obviously, it's hard. Don't get me wrong, it is hard. It's the hardest thing I'll do in this next 2 to 3 weeks. And then, because technically I'm not, where I'm on like 3,300 calories now, which is much better than what I was on. You know, eventually my calories were too low. I'm still leaning up on this food with like 12k steps and some cardio, right? It's just finding a balance between, I want to get to like 100 and hold, because that was where my best look was on prep. And arguably you haven't got the Winstrol or the Halo. Obviously the injectables are still kind of in play because it's only been 10 days without them. But in terms of the orals that are harden the physique, they're not going to be there because obviously they've got pulled straight after the show. So the look isn't going to be as good, but I just want to look half decent at like 100 kilos, or even if I can see a sub 100 and then start pushing from there. You know, if I can maintain that on 3,000 to 3,500 calories, I was doing that on way less calories in prep. So that's a positive. And then I can go into my reverse. Generally, what I should be doing now is pushing my calories to the reverse. And that could probably look into the 4,000s, right? Because you need to get fresh after prep. But for me now, where I've not been happy with how I am, I just want another week or two. Even if it's another 7 days from here, staying in the deficit. I've kept a bit of cleaning. I've been prepping as normal. My sleep has just about carried me through. My sleep's getting good again. I'm getting like 8 or 9 hours every night, but I am feeling tired in the day. Training's not great, but I'm kind of just, I'm turning up and I'm training 1 or 2 hard sets, not hitting any PBs, because technically you could argue I'm still prepping in terms of trying to pull down a little bit for 2 weeks. So we'll start to see training improve when the burners come out and when the reverse food comes into play. I think for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to taper my calories by 100 every week and taper the clean down. That should still be enough to see around that 100 or under 100 mark. And then we can have our decent jump from 3.5k upwards to whatever I decide to do for the reverse. Because like I said, I will be coaching myself now the whole way. For the foreseeable, I don't want to be... I believe I can do this to the elitist of standard on my own, with what I've learned from Cal, with the experience I've got. I've been doing this for 13 years and I'm confident. And I've also learned all the mistakes and things. Even on this prep, Cal made mistakes with me and he's the best in the world, right? So it's just about learning your body, and every prep you just get better. And this prep, I did hit my best ever package, which I'm so proud of. And I'm also proud of this, how I've managed this last, especially like 5 or 6 days has been really hard with food, and not just appetite, but like energy levels and stuff like that. Remaining locked in is so easy to just overeat, chase the dopamine hit. But you know what? I'd feel like shit if I did that. And every night I want to eat a bit more. I just fuck off to bed. And I feel like when I wake up, I'm proud I didn't overeat. Do you know what I mean? Like, that sounds weird, but I sleep well and I'm like, right, I'm still on track. And I just got this next 8 to 10 weeks, I'm locking in hard. Like I said in the last video, and I keep saying to Tony, I'm leveling up and leveling up every time I do a prep. I feel so locked in now, and it's just going to continue. So for this next 6 to 8 weeks from here, the little bit of a deficit and then the actual reverse, I'm going to nail it. All right. I don't think I'm going to have any cheat meals out of plan for 6 weeks. If we do a photo shoot and want to celebrate a bit, I'll have something on plan at home. And that ain't going to be for 4 or 5 weeks anyway. So that's how my next 6 weeks looks. Lock the fuck in. Nail every single variable. Sleep, firstly. Steps, cardio, food perfect. All those 4 things. Then the next 2 weeks, I'm going to kind of take easy with training. Like, we're going to go train tonight, but I just train for an hour and 10 hour. Finish my steps and we go to a sauna, and just got to get through this next. The next 2 weeks would be the hardest because you've still got the burners in, which you have to understand causes a bit of fatigue. especially when you've just come off the back of a prep. You know, food is higher, but not enough to bring you out of that fatigue state, because still doing 12k steps every day and 6 lots of 30 minutes cardio, that is still prep technically, but it's only for another 7 to 14 days. And then I'll still keep expenditure in on the reverse, obviously, but it just won't be as much as that. Or the extra food from there and the reduction of burners helps remove that fatigue. You know, for example, if you do 6 lots of 30 minutes cardio in off season, it's easy, isn't it? Because you've got the energy to do so. So plan of action, get the bloods done tomorrow, hopefully get the results by Friday, Saturday. If they're absolutely fantastic, full send the fucking cycle now. No, I'm joking. Although that's what everyone wants to do, but there's no point in doing that. You need to think about your health long term. And also, like I said, once I put myself on reverse calories, I can make progress on 150 milligram a test. I might not look great, but I'm going to feel a lot better than I do now. Because like I said, I've still got androgens in my body now of the test, mass and EQ, right? I don't feel great. How people rebound after shows is beyond me. Every time I've done shows, I've had a period after where I'm like, there's no way I could push a cycle now, like, and train hard. I need that 2, 3, 4 week period to kind of remove that heaviness. And I always feel that pulling into a cruise straight away, especially after the oral use, is the most beneficial, not just for health, but for actual long-term growth as well. You know, you don't want to be starting off season and then pulling into a cruise. I just don't feel that people that, obviously everybody is person dependent. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. I'm not saying that there isn't. I don't like people that say you have to do it this way. I'm not saying you have to. But for me, now that I've done 2 seasons, I couldn't think of anything worse than putting my drugs up and rebounding and trying to grow in the next 6 weeks. Like, no way. It's about getting fresh and recovered, which takes 4 to 6 weeks. Then you're primed and ready. And if you can look relatively lean and in good condition still from the diet and the sleep and the cardio post-show, and you nail your post-show, if you take 150 milligram to 200 to 250 milligram a test as your cruise or, cruise plus or sports TRT, whatever they call it, modified cruise, as some of the bigger lads do between cycles. I know like Kuba and that, they'll sit on like 400, 500 milligram total, some of these clients. That's a cycle really, but it's just a modified cruise. And obviously I've explained 2 different things there. 150 milligram a test is completely different to a 500 milligram small cycle, but depends where you're at. I believe pulling down into that phase post-show and then getting responsive and then putting the cycle in when you start off-season food is the best option for me and the clients that I've worked with. The genetic anomalies who someone like, I don't know, Sass, constantly like can go from prep to prep but stays well lean. He can probably rebound because maybe the fatigue's not that high of a prep because he sits at a very low body fat year round. You've just got to remember, I've taken off 20 kilos and that puts some burden on your nervous system and things of that nature. So yeah, just pulling down into a true cruise now, which will bring me to like 27 nanomoles, 150 milligram a week, 27 to 29 nanomoles, which is at the upper end of the testosterone range. Get responsive, get healthy, even though my blood should be okay after pushing. Obviously we have, like I said, got the full most in-depth panel there is. I've had my echo, I've got my sleep apnea mask, which I probably won't need for the next week or 2 because I'm dieting, but as soon as I go into the reverse, I'll need that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will probably wrap this video up. It's just going to be 2 talking clips. I spoke about it yesterday and today, kind of plan of action. And I've shown you everything that's come through today. Next few videos will probably be some training, talking again about the phases and the specific dates, and maybe I'll get my Mac up and have it on screen as well, like the timeline, so you can see everything. And also we'll do some blood work results as well, and like how we mitigate some of the potential issues that could arise from prep. Like I said, I'm expecting some markers to be off, some apolipoproteins, and cholesterol's going to be off. You've taken Halo and Winstrol, it's natural. But most things should be in a good spot. And then, like I said, 8 weeks of that, clear out, and then it's time to grow off season 1, baby. off season one of 3 off seasons before the next actual prep, because like I said, I haven't had an off season since 14 months now, so it's finally time to have an off season. I've gone from prep to prep. I prepped from May to November, which was too long, but Tony was like, you got to do Denmark, keep pushing. That was 30 weeks. Then I had 10 weeks getting the sleep apnea over Christmas. Then I went into another prep. So I've prepped like 50 weeks in the last 60 weeks, 65 weeks, whatever it is. So it's time for me to grow. And I've still grown in that time as well. Still grown in that time. But now it's time to truly grow and get absolutely massive, but remain in decent condition, which is what I've never done post-show before or post-diet. So I owe it to myself to do that and stay locked in for this next 6 weeks, and then we blow up from there, all right? Thanks, guys, for all the support. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video, and we'll see you in the next one.